Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. My name is Eric. I'm your host. It's Eclectic DIY. Today I'm here with my friend Nicole. We're going to talk about my separation from the Adobe suite of applications and Poshmark and Carhartt. Interesting, huh?
I mean, eclectic DIY. Let's do this.
Yes.
Let's roll. I'm excited.
We had some microphone panic real quick. So if I sound weird, it's because I'm using my $65 microphone versus the $120 microphone.
I mean, you audiophiles can tell a difference. Like, there has to be something really crazy going on for me to notice.
Yeah.
Like a crackle or, otherwise I'm like, yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, it sounds fine. Sounds fine in the Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh my gosh, I was driving along and we saw an ID Buzz and I got so excited. I really want that car.
Here's the irony of, I haven't given an electric car update in a long time, but it works. It's never been in the shop. That's the answer.
Nice.
And it still has the original brakes. Needs new tires. But I have to have a software update and a recall done. So I bought the car in Long Island, but I live in South Brooklyn, and in a couple of neighborhoods down is a Volkswagen dealer, Bay Ridge Volkswagen. And so I called them. I called the service and said, hi, I want to make an appointment for my ID Ford. It needs these two things, and they're like, hi, hello, we don't work on ID4s.
What?
So I don't want to drive out to Long Island because I have to drop it off. I have to take the Long Island Railroad back, and then I have to talk with the service guy. When's it going to be ready? Because remember, I have to take a train. It takes me an hour to get there. So I called Volkswagen of Manhattan, and they said, yeah, bring it in Monday. Happy to do it.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So I'm going to drive.
Really
I'm going to drive my car to a Manhattan car mechanic, and I'm going to pay the congestion fee to get my car fixed.
I was just going to ask, are you going to have to pay the congestion fee?
Which I'm totally pro congestion fee. I don't understand why anyone, specifically people that don't live here, want to take that away because it funds the subway, So
it is so great to drive too. Like, if you're from visiting, like we just drove in, we parked the car, we did all the stuff we needed, and we drove out. I've never gone through the tunnel that fast. Like, I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, and you pay the price, but you're like, okay, you bank that into your vacation or my trip to go get the car fixed. But anyway, so
I mean, theoretically, we could park in New Jersey and just take the train in.
Yes, that's what a lot of people do.
Exactly.
When I live upstate, people are like, "What? How should I get to New York City?" I said, "Drive to Bridgeport and take the train. It's a beautiful ride.
No big deal.
It's an hour." There's plenty. There's 2 giant parking garages in Hartford right next to the train station. But how we got on this, I don't know. So anyway.
Oh, well, we were talking about cars. So I'm loving, because I want the ID Buzz. I am loving the Volvo, though. I mean, again, very good. Now, I just heard about a new app to plan your trips, to know where the charging is. Mm-hmm. ABRP. Have you heard of this?
No.
A Better Ride Planner. And you put in where you're going, and you put in the type of car you have, and it tells you where you can charge.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if they...
Tesla, it has all of the things. Go ahead.
I wonder if they factor in the reliability of the chargers they're directing you to. Because that's actually a big deal.
They tell you a lot of things about them.
Okay.
So I think it's actually maybe a good app.
I'm going to check it out.
Brent was very frustrated. I want to take the electric car on our road trip this summer, and Brent thinks I'm just this side of crazy about this one issue. Every other issue he is. But because I think that there's enough charging, so we'll be going from here to Maine and then Maine to Detroit. Maybe we're going to go in Canada. Maybe we're going to go in New York. I don't know how we're going to exactly get to Detroit. I'd like to go to Canada. I love Toronto. But I don't know if that's a good idea. And then, but I think there's enough charging along the way, and Brent doesn't think there's enough charging. So I have to prove that there's charging.
Yeah, I'm going to stay out of that one, but I will say that if anyone's familiar with the Westchester area just north of New York City, there's the Hutchinson Parkway and the Hutchinson River Parkway, and at the northern end of it, there is a gas station in between the north and south lanes. It has a giant cell tower. It looks like a fake pine tree. And they rebuilt the whole thing and they put in 4 high-speed chargers. No one uses them. Because
Really?
there's 2 and 2. So there's one giant electrical machine, and that has 2 chargers coming off it, and the other one. So one of the machines is, from what I'm told on the app review site I use, that one does not work for some reason. The one that does work doesn't work with your credit card. You're supposed to be able to go up and just tap your credit card and charge. That doesn't work, and the app is less than great. And about a mile away are 12 Tesla superchargers, version 4, which have the dock adapter to do high-speed charging into non-Tesla cars. So that's the kind of thing I learned just by checking the app. And I drive by these chargers every weekend, and there's no one there. And it's a major artery into New York City. Interesting.
It's really frustrating. The infrastructure, that's one problem in DC, is they gave a lot of people building buildings tax breaks. Maybe I've already talked about this, but they haven't been maintaining the infrastructure.
Yeah, this was a state project, and I wonder if they had to go with the low bid for someone to install chargers. It's a lot of money to put high-speed chargers in because you have to bring these giant electrical cables through the ground. And if they went with the low bid, and I had never heard of this company that owns the chargers. Full disclosure, I have not used the chargers. This is just what I've read and my observations driving by. So,
Right.
But that's the kind of thing you run into with the apps that want to plan your trip. My worry is they just go, oh, there are Electrify America chargers at the Westchester Mall, but what's the reliability of them?
Right. Do they actually work? Brent, that's definitely an argument Brent makes. I don't know. We may end up taking the old car.
On the other side of the parking lot, it's a Wegmans grocery store with the Tesla chargers. On the opposite side of the parking lot are 2 fast chargers that used to be, I can't remember the name of the startup, and then Shell, the big gas company, bought that company. So they're Shell chargers now, and I check on the app. It's called PlugShare is the app I use. And also I use the Shell app because you have to have the charging app for that one. And they are usually not working for one reason or another. And the Tesla ones, the CEO of that, and that politics aside, it has like a 95% working rate. And I've only found one charger that didn't work once. And other than that, I plug my Volkswagen in, my non-Tesla car, and I go shopping.
Right, and just get it done. Yeah.
Wow, that was a tangent.
I know. All right, well, what we were going to talk about was you leaving the Adobe family.
Yes. It's I use Adobe Premiere for editing actually I use it for the podcast and for the YouTube videos. You can use Adobe Audition to do audio, and it's much better, I know, but I find the software clunky, and because I'm older, it's maybe harder to learn. But it's also it's a pretty steep yearly or monthly fee to use their software. And I use Photoshop and I use Adobe Premiere. And I thought, okay, because I'm trying to just simplify and lower my yearly costs. I've been using actually it's called Quick and Simplify, Quick and Simple. It's like $10 a month. It manages your checking account, and it points out recurring charges. And I'm looking at, okay, this Adobe, it's like a $600 fee for the year. And I'm like, what else is out there? And so there's people that have written about this, and instead of Photoshop, I'm going to use Pixelmator, which you can buy and own for $120 or $140, I think it is. And you own it forever. with the Adobe apps, if you stop paying the monthly or yearly fee, the apps won't run on your computer, from what I am told. From what I read on their site, you can no longer start up Adobe Premiere and fix an edit that you did 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Am I like blabbing here?
No, that makes sense. I mean, they're cloud-based now. That's their whole... They changed to a subscription model.
Yep.
Which I avoided for years by just using a really old version.
Yes.
That I had bought and paid for. And then I finally did upgrade. And now I have some deal. I mean, I don't need as many things. I just use Lightroom. So I only pay for Lightroom monthly.
Right. There's...
it's always trying to tell me I can use other stuff, but I don't want to use the other stuff.
Well, there's a Lightroom competitor called Photomator, which is put up with the same company that does Pixelmator. And I think that it's like $100 as well. And it's kind of like the old school where you bought it came in a box. Okay, it's downloaded from the cloud, but it's on your machine, and they can't delete it because I paid in full for it. So I'm working on slowly. I'm going to keep my Adobe rental until the year ends, which I think it does in September, but I'm going to start testing other software editing tools that you buy and own outright. I could also probably just use iMovie to edit Garden Fork, because I don't do anything fancy. I just do, it's called butt editing, or it's just a jump cut. You know, it's just, there's no overlays of fancy whatever. Every once in a while.
We're not fading in or fading out.
Yeah. I sometimes fade in and out the audio, but that's easy to do in iMovie. And iMovie comes free with your Mac, so.
Well, but why are you going to try all these other things? What's the...
I can use iMovie, but it's not the most intuitive thing, and it's incredibly simple on purpose, but you basically drop the clip onto your timeline and then drag the ends short to make, whatever the part that you want it to be in. I can't really verbalize it, but I don't love iMovie. And if there's some software out there that's $100, I'm like, fine, because it saves my time. But what I've learned from all this is I have several subscriptions through the Apple Store. And there was just a court case where Apple had to stop charging 30% for certain transactions that companies get through the Apple Store, which is good for like Patreon. They were kind of involved with that. But I bought a subscription to the Guardian newspaper. Mm-hmm. And I like they're independent. They're not American. So it gives you a view from across the ocean. And I thought I signed up for the monthly, but I guess maybe it was signed up for the yearly. But in April, I got an email from Apple saying, we're renewing your Guardian thing, and it's $150 a year, I'm thinking. And I looked at my account with the Guardian, and my renewal ends every August. And I'm like, why is Apple renewing it in April? That's weird. It was very weird. And so then I tried to cancel it because I'm like, well, I should just renew it through the
if you're
Guardian
wondering if there's
website
something you can do within your local community to help out, you know what I'm going to say?
They basically said, no, you can't
consider donating blood. Yeah, that's Eric's thing.
And I read that it's very hard to get refunds through the Apple Store for software.
It takes maybe a half an hour, and you get to have snacks afterward.
When I was looking for the
chocolate chip cookies,
Photoshop
the
alternative,
Oreo kind of their Oreo brand,
Pixelmator.
Anyway,
I
check it out. There are some limitations. They want to know a health history from
which
you.
is their
the first time you go, it'll take a little longer.
I don't need that because
be sure to drink
text on it.
Extra water.
So
for
I
the
needed
3 days
Pixelmator.
before
So
your appointment.
I was like, okay, I'm going to try. And you can. I got an email confirming my transaction.
That you're giving something to your neighborhood, your town,
and I clicked on that
they can't
and then I
make
found
in
the
a
refund and
laboratory.
said
they can't make blood.
I said I would like a refund here.
RedCrossBlood.org.
And you have a pull-down menu of choices.
Half hour of your time.
And the first one was
for everyone else.
I didn't buy this.
And
I didn't mean to
that.
buy this.
Right?
And I just clicked that.
Oh, okay.
And it said this might take 3 or 4 days, but we'll get back to you. And in 3 days, they refunded my money. And I deleted Photomator and I bought Pixelmator, the correct one. So
And were they the same company?
Yeah, it's the same company, but when you buy through the Apple App Store, you're buying through a third party. You're buying through Apple, and the software company has no control over that. From what the Photomator company emailed to me, it's a boilerplate thing they said. We have no control over Apple. If you want to return, you have to go through Apple.
Huh.
Which is very similar to like the airlines. If you use a third party, one of the discount websites to buy your airline tickets, if you want to get a refund, the airline will tell you have to go through the discount site to do it.
Well, that makes sense because the discount site is buying in bulk the tickets or whatever. But that, that's very frustrating.
But I know this is kind of it's a giant run-on sentence with Eric. But if you just go back and check what subscriptions you have out there ahead of time, you might get a cryptic email from the company saying we're going to renew your thing in 2 weeks or 7 days. The problem with me is that I get such a deluge of email that they get past me, or sometimes they end up in your spam folder. But I've successfully clawed back about $500 in renewals that I didn't want to pay for anymore. And
well, I have a email system for dealing with email deluge. So I have 3 accounts. So I have my work account, that's for the photography business and writing. And if it's related to those topics, they get that email. And then I have the junk email, which is Hotmail. And then I have Gmail, which is just my regular personal email. Now, years ago when I joined my writing group, I gave them the junk email address. And they found out a couple years later. They're like, what? We go to your junk mail? And I was like, well, but I didn't know if it was real. I didn't know if we were really going to do this. But that way I just pay less attention to the junk mail email.
All right. Yeah, I thought I'd save this for another episode, but I'm changing all my email addresses to Gmail because I just want reliability. But we'll talk about that later. But one more thing I wanted to say about any kind of subscription, be it through Apple or through a website, if you buy into it for a year, and they give you a discount if you pay for a year, if you decide 2 months in that you don't like it, a lot of them will not refund your year-long subscription. They won't prorate it. Oh, okay, well, you only use 2 months. We'll just we'll send you the 10 months back. They won't do it because they're like, it's in our terms of service.
Right.
And so just be careful of that. If you're just starting out with something, do the monthly, and they will always want you to convert to the yearly. There's usually an option to do that afterward. But I've been just clawing back money, and it feels good because all of a sudden you look at your checking account and you get this kind of ding from the bank going, your bank account is quite low. And I'm like, well, what went through there? And it's like a $150 renewal for something that you're like, oh, I forgot about that.
Well, and I know in the iPhone there's a place where you can manage your subscriptions.
Oh.
And cancel them.
I did cancel the Guardian one. I mean, it's going to run the year. It's going to end in August or September. And when it's up, I'm going to resubscribe through the Guardian website rather than through the Apple Store.
Right.
Which is a big thing with Patreon, by the way. If you want to become a supporter of Garden Fork, please use the website. If you go through the Apple Store, I'm not sure whether Apple's still going to take the 30%, but that 30% of $5 is a lot of money. Hey, if you're wondering if there's something you can do within your local community to help out, you know what I'm going to say? Consider donating blood. Yeah, that's Eric's thing. But yeah, redcrossblood.org. It takes maybe a half an hour, and you get to have snacks afterward. They usually have like chocolate chip cookies, the Oreo kind of their Oreo brand. But anyway, check it out. There are some limitations. They want to know a health history from you. The first time you go, it'll take a little longer. Be sure to drink extra water for the 3 days before your appointment. That will help greatly with the donation. And just relax and realize that you're giving something to your neighborhood, your town, your community that they can't make in a laboratory. They can't make blood. Okay? redcrossblood.org. Takes a half hour of your time. done something for everyone else. And you feel good about that, right? Thank you.
That's a good segue to my new, obsession with thrifting and selling things on eBay and Poshmark.
Yes.
I pretty much just focus on bags because I really like bags, and I have a ethos that I'm only thrifting and selling things that I would actually want to own. Well, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna, just because like I see a Carhartt jacket that's worth $150, like, okay, great, somebody else can deal with that. I don't want to deal with coats. It's too bulky. But purses, I love purses. And what I'm really interested in are Coach purses that are leather, but those are very hard to find because I've gotten into reconditioning the leather on the bags, and I've watched a number of videos about how to do this. I'm kind of an expert now. And it's been a really fun side hustle. Now, Brent is apoplectic about the tax implications. So I have all the receipts, but apparently I have to be more fastidious about making sure I document how much we paid for the items.
Uh-huh.
So we can write that off. Yes. Mm-hmm. I know. But you said you've got some stuff to thrift or to Poshmark. Is this big bin of Carhartt?
Yeah, I have some Carhartt. I have 2 or 3 pairs of Carhartt pants that have a bunch of holes in them, and I sewed up the holes. I put patches in and everything. And my young, 2 of my 20-year-old friends said, "Oh, Eric, you can sell that for hundreds of dollars." And I looked on eBay, and I didn't really see any pants like mine that were selling for hundreds of dollars. They were selling for maybe $50 or $60. And then I thought, well, maybe this isn't the right place to sell them,
Yeah, that could be.
So it's
okay.
it might be a Poshmark thing.
So what I do when I try to figure out how much to charge for something is I have the Google app on my phone. And so I'll take a picture of the item, and then I put the picture into the Google, and Google will search based on your picture for similar items. And so like if I want to find one on Poshmark, I put Poshmark in the search terms, and if I want to know eBay, but otherwise it'll tell you either one, but it'll give you a rough estimation of like how much it's worth. And then you can also go to eBay. The most important thing to do is to search recently sold. You want to know how much they sold for. Mm-hmm. But there's also another functionality in eBay, and I just saved what it's called because
you can do the historical,
or maybe yes, to go look at the historical data to see how much stuff, because a lot of times like those are kind of I don't know how many are being sold back and forth frequently, but I'll tell you, I put those Baggu bags that I found at the thrift store online. I paid $2.99 for them, and they're like just reusable bags. Like I had no clue, but I had like searched it up, and it looked like maybe they were worth $40. So I put them on for $40, and they sold in 5 minutes.
Wow!
So if you have a thing, I know I made $100 off of my $6 investment. If you have a thing that people really want, it'll sell fast. Yeah, on eBay it's called the research tab on eBay.
Yes. Or if you're doing a search, you can, after you do an initial search, you can hit, add more search parameters or something like that, custom search or something. And there's a button there to pick show sold items as well. And that'll show you things that have sold in the last year or whatever that are similar.
I think it's like the last 90 days.
Oh, okay.
So I was noticing that wasn't, for some things, it wasn't really long, or I wasn't finding anything comparable. Yeah, so, I would just use the pictures first to try that.
Okay. Yeah, because
I see how much you get.
I could buy new pants.
I know, I can't believe you don't have enough pants. It's just so sad for me. Okay, what kind are they?
They're Carhartt. They're just the duck work pant. They're black, and they have holes in them, and then I've sewed up the holes, and you can see the sewing lines, and where the patch is underneath. It's on the inside, and the outside. If I didn't sew around the fringy, the part where the thread falls apart, they're kind of fringy. I think they look kind of cool, and I mean, I wear them around.
Okay,
Park
you need
Slope.
to ask these kids. You need to ask these kids where they're selling them.
Okay.
Because I'm not seeing $100 pants here, but like, I wonder if there must be some other place where they're selling them.
Did you look on Poshmark?
Yeah, I was looking at Poshmark right now.
Oh, okay.
But I just put in Carhartt duck work pants. I didn't put in work of art.
Well, that's my work. Because if I put them on eBay, I guess I have to put a starting price that's fairly high to make sure someone doesn't buy them for $50, and then they go to their Manhattan boutique and sell them for $400.
The other thing is I don't like the auctions. I don't do any auctions.
Oh, you like the buy it now?
I have buy it now or nothing. Yeah, I don't want to. So, maybe Facebook Marketplace. I mean, I know you're not into Facebook anymore, but that might be a good place. I
tried Facebook Marketplace to sell. The camera operator had a very nice desk, like a Pottery Barn desk that was way too big for our new apartment. And I got very weird people on Facebook Marketplace, and then on Craigslist, I got some people that were more straightforward, and I sold it on Craigslist fairly quickly. But maybe that's just my one experience.
Yeah, that's anecdata, as my husband tells me.
Anecdata. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I wonder where, ask these kids and report back to us, please.
Yes, I'll ask the young people.
Maybe you just need to go out on your stoop and be like, Carhartt, $300.
There's got to be a subculture I'm just intrigued with the idea, because they're genuinely worn. I didn't sandpaper them with a belt sander to make them look like this. I mean, I've worn them for 10 years or something, crawling around in the ground and under cars and cutting trees,
They've seen things.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's enough for a show here. Well, let's stick around for the after show, but sorry about
that sounds good.
The audio glitches here. 2 minutes before we were going to start, my big microphone just decided not to work, and there you go. If you're interested in hearing more of us, we do what we call the after show. If you're a supporter on Patreon, and there's information about that in the show notes here, or you can just go to patreon.com/gardenfork. And in the show notes of the podcast here, there are 2 links to examples of the kind of thing I post to the patrons every week. There's an unlocked photo, and there's an unlocked video or something. Oh, there's an unlocked version of one of the after shows, which are always very engaging. So
always. We're very interesting.
It's where we let our hair
so
down.
Interesting.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. It's always great to hear from you. radio@gardenfork.tv. Thank you, Nicole. Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.